In part one of my interview with motivational speaker and author Jeanhee Kang, growing up hungry and poor in South Korea.
My primary goal when I wake up was find something to eat because what Mama gave us was just not enough.
And how the success of the village dam keeper inspired her to chase her dream.
I have to get out of this small, poor rice farming village to go to high school.
At 16, she lost her virginity, got pregnant, and had an abortion. She was kicked out of high school for breaking these cultural taboos and forced to make a difficult decision.
I had two choices, either drink red poison to die or disappear from whole entire village and never come back. And I know a lot of girls kill themselves for shame, but I wasn't gonna kill myself. I chose to go somewhere and never come back. I ran away and went to GI town, 4 hours away from my home, and I stole money to buy one-way ticket to get there, and I sold myself to brothel to sell my life, my soul, to earn that chance to go to America, to go to high school.
She would meet a young soldier. They married 6 months later.
And he was still in the Air Force. He could not come to America yet. He had to finish his tour. And I begged him, just like I did beg my mom when I was 5 years old to send me to high school. I begged him to send me to America. I want to go to high school. I want to go to high school. And he figured it out. I was never gonna stop begging. And he found some money to pay for a plane ticket to send me to his mother's house.
With $40 in her pocket, she would finally get a chance to come to America in 1975 to live her dream.
When I came to America, within 12 hours, I believe, the next morning when I woke up, I had all these things in my bag, and I remember asking my mother-in-law, send me to high school, and she was shocked, and says, aren't you tired? No, not tired. So she registered me to 11th grade and didn't speak a word of English, but I could understand a little bit, and I remember I was in the wrong page every time, and teachers come and find the right pages. But when I got to the 11th grade classroom, I said, watch me, Korean people, Koreans, I'm here, I made it. I was so happy, so happy.
In this edition of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny Fridge, find out how Jeanhee overcomes poverty and past mistakes to go from being a street peddler to a street-savvy millionaire business owner while finding a love that money couldn't buy. Part 2, From Rags to Riches, a True Story. Welcome back to Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny. My guest is Jeanhee Kang. She's an entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and author of Meegook. Jeanhee, you were sharing how your dream of coming to America was a short-lived American dream.
My husband, after he finished his tour from Korea, he came back, and we moved to his new base. But marriage just didn't work out. My dream was still back in high school theme. Marriage was just not on my table at the point. It might be selfish, but my dream was to go to high school and finish high school and become a dam keeper's life, live his life. And during that time, I had 2 children with him, and so unhappy. And I finally told him that we must get divorced because I just can't continue. Then after that, another marriage that I got into, I failed that marriage also. And I still had this dream that it didn't live in me. Back when I first came here, didn't get to finish high school, and after my first divorce, I decided, okay, I'm going to night school and get high school GED so I can go to college. So I got the GED. Then I went to college in Oklahoma, and I met this guy that in the same classroom, and fell in love, and only to find out he was abusing me. He was from another country, and that relationship was, just didn't work out. But I had another son with him, so a failed marriage, another son, and he was very abusive.
You said that 911 stopped taking you seriously when you made calls. A peace bond didn't work. One day you were crying a flood of tears, feeling trapped and helpless. And then Oprah Winfrey's daytime talk show came on. The topic, domestic violence.
She started with, why don't women leave abusive relationship? And caught my ear, and I turned around and I watched the entire show. And she said, until that time, I had no idea why I was in an abusive relationship and I couldn't leave. But she explained to me through the TV that women remain in abusive relationship because they grew up in that environment. It's a trend. It's a cycle they go through. And I just woke up at that point. I said, that's what's wrong with me. I am going to break this chain. So I decided to leave him, but I knew he wasn't going to leave in peace. So somehow, I don't know why, but idea came up to me. I'm going to shoot him if he hit me again. So I went to flea market and bought a gun for $35. And I asked this man who sold me a gun, show me how to use this gun. He asked me, why are you buying a gun? You don't even know how to shoot. And I said, I'm going to kill my husband. He said, are you kidding? I said, no, I'm not kidding. And I brought that gun with me and hid it under the mattress. And about 10 days later, he started chasing me to hit me again. I ran over there, and while he's trying to take me to hit me again, while he was doing that, he pushed the mattress and gun fell down to the floor. And I picked it up immediately and pointed at him, and he was shocked. You should have seen his eyes. And with a 4-letter word, what the is that? And I said, I'm going to shoot you and I'm going to kill you if you don't leave. And that's when he realized time's up. He picked up so many things that it's his stuff in his bag. And on the way out, he picked up my 3-month-old baby that I had with him. And he was rushing out to the door. And before he left, he said, if you try to take my son, now it's his son, it's my son too, but he said, if you try to take my son, I'm going to come back and slit Josh and Jason's throat. And he motioned like this. And that was Josh and Jason that I had with my first marriage. And he shut the door, and I could hear him taking off and hearing breaking, the car noise. And that was the last time I saw him. And I didn't have a job. I had 2 boys from previous marriage. I didn't have a car, and I didn't know what else to do. But I knew that at that moment I had to do something. Something has to take place to start my new life and my second chance.
The good news is that you eventually got your son back. You're a single mom, 2 weeks away from eviction, no car. You became a street peddler. How did that happen?
I called the bank and I knew that he wasn't going to leave me any money, but I called anyway. And the bank teller said, you have a $50 in the bank. And even the $50, there was money that I could immediately use. Then he said, wait a minute. Then he said, who is Jason? And that's my son. He said, did you know that he had money in his account? I said, no, that was his money. He had a car wreck when he was a child, and there was a settlement. He said, ma'am, you can use this money. It's $2,200. And I could not comprehend $2,200 in the account. He said I could have. And I had to ask him, are you sure that's his money? I said, no ma'am, in Mississippi, if you're a guardian, you can have that money. I put my tennis shoes on and put key on my hand and driver's license. I ran to the bank. And by the time I get to the bank, I sweat, soaked, and try to calm myself down. And I walked into the bank and I asked him, I could see that there was only one man at the teller section. And I said, hi, that was me. Remember me? I was afraid that he don't remember. We just talked. And I said, yes, ma'am, I remember you. And so I came to get my money. And he said, so you mean you want to close your account? I said, well, I just need my money. And he said, how do you want your money? What do you mean, how do you want your money? I want my money. He said, I meant, you want $20 bill or $100 bill? $100 bills. And then he gave me 22 $100 bills. I remember rolling it so tight and held it in my hand, and I ran back to my apartment. And that was while I was running back, and I thanked God. I said, this is the money. This must be you. They're giving me this chance, second chance, and I'm going to make my second chance with this money. And I came in, and I was so afraid my ex-husband's going to come back for some reason. And I was looking for a place to hide this money. And I ran around, and I couldn't think of anywhere else. And I threw it behind the washer. I figured he wouldn't look at there. And I threw it in there, and I pulled out this scratch paper and make a plan for my life, writing down the immediate bills, how much I have left, and what am I going to do with this money to make my life. And that all this stuff, it was like within 1 hour that I was doing all this before Josh and Jason came back from school. And by the time they came back, I had all written down what I was going to do with my life with that money. So that $2,200 log that I wrote down on that yellow scratch pad had a list of things that I wanted to do. And after all the bills were taken out, and to pay apartment so we won't get evicted, and I had exactly $800 left to invest. And before I came to Mississippi, I used to live in New York City, and I knew where to go to buy these fake watches. And I didn't have much money, but I had enough to buy round-trip ticket to New York City. And how much I was going to spend, every penny on that note was accounted for. The taxi cab, how much I can eat, what I can buy, and including my son's gift for being good while I was gone, because I didn't have a babysitter. So I made them promise I'll be back in 1 day if they could just be good and wake up and go to school and come back. Don't tell anybody Mommy's not home. And that all happened in that time period. And I flew to New York City, and I went to Chinatown on Canal and Broadway on that corner, and I found this Vietnamese man that I have never met, and I begged him, I have this $800 that I could spend with him, but I can't come back to buy more merchandise. But if he could just please send me merchandise, and I promise I'll pay you back. And he could not believe what he just heard. You mean you want me to send you merchandise and you'll pay me back later? I said, exactly, that's what I meant. And he thought about it. He couldn't believe what he was hearing, but he sees that desperation in my eyes. I told him that I just got divorced and I have no money. This is the only source that I could make something out of my life. And he just thought about something real quick. Then he pulled out this scratch paper out of his pocket. Write your address down. You promise you're going to pay me back? I promise I'll send you money every time you send me merchandise. And believe it or not, did you know that he sent me merchandise every week? And I paid him back every week. And that's how I became street peddler.
Now, you started as a street peddler, but it grew, and this is how you made your fortune. Uh, Underground, it was called?
Yes.
And was that at the North Park, the local mall here in Mississippi?
Yes. I saved every penny I made from street peddling. And one day I walked in the mall. I saw this little bitty kiosk in the aisle. And I said, well, maybe I could own that. It didn't look like it's going to cost too much money. And I went to the mall office, and the manager said, that'll be $800. And ironic, $800, and another $800 came up. And I said, I think I can afford that. He said, if you don't pay rent, I'll kick you out. And I said, I'll pay you rent. And that's how I started. The little business just kind of kept growing from the aisle to the inline store. Then within 3 years, I had my own store, and it's called Underground. And mall manager couldn't believe that how fast I could grow. But I worked. I did. 14 hours a day. And my boys, they had to come to the mall and study right while I'm working. And that's how I grew.
What was one of the first things that you bought when you started making a lot of money?
Well, first I did is I needed a car because I walked everywhere, and I borrowed a car from friends who lent me. So I bought me a car. Then I bought a little place on the water. It's a little bitty condominium, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And I remember walking into a bank and asking them to sell me this place. It was $65,000. It was a lot of money. And I said, can I buy it? I lease to purchase. I'll pay up and you can just sell me later. And he said, you have a tax return? I said, no. This was 1990. I said, well, you have credit cards? No. I have a ledger, how much I make every day and how much I have. And he saw this list every day. I even wrote down 50 cents Coca-Cola that I drank. There's a 50 cents I spend. And with that list of a ledger, the bank let me buy that little bitty condo. Wow. It was my first home. Wow. And with that, and I kept growing, and I made quite a bit. There's another store open right next to mine, and I took that store, then another one. I still hadn't realized that I was making more than $1 million a year, because didn't know that I was at that point. My CPA said, yes, you did. And I was looking at, I remember one of the tax return I was looking at, there's a lot of zeros after numbers. And so I was counting, and she said, yeah, that's over $1 million. I said, oh, wow. But I never consider myself rich or things like that. I always try to stay humble. And I did take care of my mom. I did buy her a beautiful house and send her a lot of money, and bought her lots of beautiful jewelry so she can brag and tell all friends to make them jealous, as I promised. And that was my joy.
Did you ever meet that dam keeper again?
No, actually never did. I didn't go back to Korea until actually last year, 2018.
For the first time since you had left?
Right. And I went back to my village. Of course, all the homes were gone, but rice paddies were there, and the rundown bridges were still there, but no dam keeper. Mountain was still there. I asked God, said, remember me, I'm back.
Jeanhee, after all the millions, you were still hungry, but not for white steaming rice, but the Word of God, a relationship with God.
So for 20 years that I worked nonstop and made lots of money, more than I could spend, and I did travel, I did everything I wanted, but there was something that missing. After a while, I'm thinking, what was that? What was it? What is it that missing in my life? I was still hungry for something. and I didn't know what it was until a good friend of mine, Jeanhee, asked me. Well, she actually been asking me for go to church for many months. I wouldn't go. Then one day I walked in, and the sermon was about prodigal son, and there's a big screen with a big red chair on top of it. So runaway. I was thinking, runaway? That was me. And when Chip Henderson started sermon, and this teenager ran away from home, and yada yada, I'm thinking, is he talking about me? And then more he preached in depth, more I realized this is what I was missing. And that moment that I realized God was missing. Then I traced back to all these dreams I had over the years, and Jesus' visit, and when I cried to sleep years and years ago, which I ignored. I remember he asked me, why aren't you going to church? And I ignored that dream too, because I didn't think that I was fit to go to church for my past mistakes that I was so ashamed of. And at that moment, at that church in Pine Lake, I realized that I was forgiven. God was with me entire time, waiting for me to come to Him. And that was the moment that I came home to God.
Amen. Amen.
You also got a chance to visit the Holy Land and get baptized. What was that experience like?
Oh gosh, the Holy Land was the moment that I knew, even though I knew that God's story and I knew the Bible, but actually getting there and walk where Jesus walked and where Jesus was baptized, and being baptized in the same river by John Baptist that I was able to be baptized in the same water. It was the word that I don't have. It was the most godly thing that I could experience. I would recommend to anyone. And when we visited the Sea of Galilee, it was just happened to be one of my son's birthday, who died with an auto accident when he was a teenager. It was April 27th, and I just met with the Lord and cried my heart out and talked to Him that I'm here, and cried. And I felt His presence, that I knew He was very much alive. And when I came home from that trip, one of the fellow Christian sent me a photo of that moment when I met with Jesus. That moment was captured by his camera, and he sent it to me, and I couldn't believe it. It was God.
It sounds so amazing. So amazing.
Thank you.
Wow. At age 57, you completed your education dream. You graduated from the University of Mississippi.
Yes. There was one more thing that I had to finish, and I said, I'm going to get a degree. I didn't care how far it is. It was like 2.5 hours from where I live in Oxford, Mississippi. I remember when I walked in to register myself, the lady, her name is Carmen, said it'll take you at least 1.5 years to get all your credits together to get bachelor's degree. So, but I said no. 1 year from that day was May 10th, 2014. There was a graduation day coming up. I said, please put my name on there. He said, you can't do that. And I said, please. Then she said, do you realize you have to make 3.0 or above average to graduate, and you have to finish 51 hours in 1 year? I said, yes, I realize that, and please put my name on there. And exactly on May 10th, 2014, I graduated from University of Mississippi with a bachelor's degree.
Oh, congratulations on that milestone. That is so wonderful.
Thank you.
Jeanhee, I was in the audience when you delivered a TEDx talk in 2016 in Jackson, Mississippi. You talked about the importance of compassion for teenage girls and second chances.
I feel like everyone deserves second chance. Mistakes are made because we're human, but just because you are pregnant or you made mistake as a teenager, it doesn't mean that you can start over. So I really, that's my dear to my heart, that I like to help teenage girls. So there's a global learning center in Jackson Medical Mall that I help, and I'm their mentor, just making sure that they finish high school, and I award them for good grades, and if they do go to college, I help them with the funds, and I really enjoy that because I want to show them that I didn't forget my past, but I also want to show them that they can do it too, that you don't have to be super smart. Anyone with a dream, then they can do it, and all of you can do it also.
What words of encouragement can you give to that person, maybe that young lady out there who may be ashamed about something she's done, or maybe a person who's in a situation that feels hopeless?
It doesn't matter what you did, your background, how poor you are, what situation you're in, mistakes that you made. It doesn't mean that it ends there. You push forward. You forget what happened yesterday because it'll never be made over. But you can go forward and do like I did. I didn't give up my dream. I knew that if I stayed shameful and gave up my dream, I would never be where I am today. And you can do it too. Anybody can do it. Just remember, don't ever forget to give up your dream. Don't give up, because you can do it. Everything's there. Only thing you have to do is you want it. How bad you want it, and go after it. And don't give up.
Don't give up.
Wow. The book is called Meegook. You can find it on Facebook, Amazon, and wherever books are sold. You can also reach Jeanhee at facebook.com/Meegook. That's all the time we have on this edition of Rise and Shine with Dr. Sunny. I want to thank my guest, motivational speaker, entrepreneur, philanthropist, and author, Jeanhee Kang. If you enjoy our programs like this, please consider making a donation of any amount at WYTV7.org to help our CBN broadcasters continue to bring you programming that inspires, uplifts, and empowers. For more information, you can find me at sunnyfridge.com. Please like my Facebook page, facebook.com/I Rise and Shine. Listen anytime to our Rise and Shine podcast on Spreaker, iHeart, Google, and many more. I'm Dr. Sunny. Remember, it's your time to rise and shine.